Alright, back with some more modern. We have a couple of decks here that are kind of out of the meta. The most in the meta is probably the Elementals deck, though even that has lost some of its metagame share the past few months. And the Grixis Arcanist deck on the left is a deck that had a lot of hype going for it, I want to say a year ago. It was very successful in Legacy, where Dreadhorde Arcanist eventually needed a ban, but it never really took off in Modern. But the deck still has some interesting and very powerful plays, so definitely a interesting matchup probably coming up, as we have Dreadhorde Arcanist coming down for Jerryt here. I'm missing a bit of life total. Now, fortunately for Jerryt here, Elementals needs a bit of time to get going. Not just colors, but most of its threats are 2 or 3 mana. Also, worth mentioning is that I believe this is the version with Thunderkin Awakener, which is just a little bit of extra value that this deck can put out. Not sure if the deck is playing anything like Lightning Skelemental, which is the Rakdos-colored ball lightning that then makes you discard cards. Really powerful card to get back with Thunderkin Awakener, but not all lists are playing that. And I would imagine this Thunderkin Awakener is going to be very important here for our Elementals player, as the Grixis Arcanist deck is very good at not only using its many removal cards, but also getting it back. So, if Jerryt is able to close out the game in a reasonable time, I would assume he is favored. It could mean that any lightning bolts Jerryt finds are maybe a bit more strained, as they will have to go upstairs instead of creatures, but we'll have to see how the game plays out. Now, Serum Visions being brought back here with Dreadhorde Arcanist looks like Jerryt puts both cards on top. That's usually bad news bears. And a Seasoned Pyromancer, which is straight up gonna draw these cards. Jerryt discarding Thought Scour and a Fatal Push. Interesting. Whereas both cards gonna be able to be brought back with Dreadhorde Arcanist, but still. Fatal Push is maybe a bit aggressive, though you do get a 1/1 for it. And it's possible, it probably just wants to keep the things in hand that he can get back with Dreadhorde. It's most likely answer here. Another tap land for our Elementals player here. Currently our Elementals player has 4 colors, looks like, only missing black. Missing black could mean that they're not playing the Elemental, what was I saying? Lightning Skelemental. That one. Looks like that is not going to be happening this game. But interested in seeing what is going to happen. We are now at 3 mana for our Elementals player. No Risen Reef. Oh, there is the Risen Reef. The Risen Reef a 3-mana card? I thought it was a 2-mana card. It's a 3-mana card, my bad. I have no idea why I thought it was a 3-mana card. I mean, it would have been way too strong as a 3-mana card, I'll give you that, but... yeah, Elementals just isn't that fast out of the gate. It's kind of like a 5-color Niv in that respect. Let's see, we have Thoughtseize coming out here. Gonna reveal a Stomping Ground to Omnath, an Ephemerate, a Flamekin Harbinger, and the Thunderkin Awakener that we were expecting. Nothing unexpected here. I guess the Flamekin Harbinger was maybe a bit of a late draw here. Would have expected it to come down a lot sooner than that if the option was available. One of the Omnath is going to be the discard here. Gonna put Jerryt at 11. That is something to look out for. Because... yeah, if the Elementals player is slow, but you kinda start at 11 life, then it doesn't really matter, does it? Actually, no, we're at 9 already. Thoughtseize gonna take the other Omnath. Now this ends up being quite dangerous for our Elementals player here. A little bit slower out of the gate. Is staring down a lot of aggro here. It's 5 life going to 10. And is going to bolt the Risen Reef. That is a problem. Thinking, what kind of out could the Elemental player have here? Thunderkin Awakener coming down? A quick reminder. Yeah. So, Thunderkin Awakener, pretty good, but isn't going to be able to get back Omnath. Is, however, going to be able to bring back the Risen Reef. And because Jerryt is tapped out from attacking, he is going to have to take this damage. Risen Reef a 1-1? I always forget. It is a 1-1, yeah. Ephemerate going to blink the Risen Reef before it gets sacrificed off the effect of Thunderkin Awakener, which is going to draw another card. This time, no land. First, getting a Cavern of Souls on the first try. Very nice indeed. But will it be enough? A 1-1 standing against the Red Horde here. Looks like Jerryt is holding plenty of lands. Which, knowing Jerryt, he probably doesn't mind. He loves having plenty of land. He loves having plenty of expensive cards as well. Going to Thought Scour off the Dreadhorde Arcanist. Is going to mill Seasoned Pyromancer and another Thought Scour. And then draw a card. Didn't quite catch what the card was. I think here you have to take 5. It's not ideal. It makes it very dangerous to keep going, but no, is going to trade off the Risen Reef and then take 3. I was gonna say it's not ideal getting rid of the Risen Reef because it is incredible value engine at this point, and is probably the fastest way of getting back in the game, but yeah, if Jerryt ends up having just another bolt at that point, then you might just be dead on board, and that could be very dangerous against a deck like that. Going to blink the Thunderkin Awakener, so the Awakener cannot attack this turn. And then Terminate's going to get rid of the Thunderkin Awakener. And that might be all she wrote. We do still have the option of Flimkin Harbinger. Can the Harbinger put a Omnath into play? Looks like it can. Or not into play. Oh, it's on top of library even. Which is also unfortunate. If that was in hand, it would have been a lot better. It probably wouldn't have been 1 mana, but putting it on top of your deck is always so awkward. So close, yet so far. We have another 4 mana play though, it seems. Just another Omnath? Is that 3-color Omnath? Yeah, that is Locus of the Royal. Let's see, when Locus of the Royal enters the battlefield, deals damage to any target equal to the number of elementals you control. And whenever a land enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target elemental. If you control 8 or more lands, draw a card. Interesting. So, looks like an interesting little finisher there. Is going to be able to also just take care of a bunch of the attackers here on Jerryt's side. Possibly going to take care of the Seasoned Pyromancer and then just block the Dreadhorde Arcanist. Actually, no, it's not going to be able to block the Dreadhorde Arcanist because there is still a Lightning Bolt in the graveyard of Jerryt. Looks like the last card in hand is Solitude. And Locus of the Royal, notably, is not a white card. So we'll have to see if he can survive the next turn. Things might be looking on the upside here for elementals. That's gonna be a tall order though. Snapcaster gonna get rid of the Flimkin Harbinger. And I would imagine Dreadhorde Arcanist is gonna take care of the Locus of the Royal. Yeah, because the 1/1 counter from the landfall trigger actually ended up on the Flimkin Harbinger. Oh yeah, of course. Lightning Bolt doesn't work. Oh, you can still sack the Arid Mesa to put a counter on the Omnath. Fight the Lightning Bolt. Oh, then maybe it wasn't the best idea to put it on the Flimkin Harbinger then? Because now you're fetching away the Omnath that you put on top of your deck. No, that wasn't a Solitude. That was Ephemerate. Interesting. Gonna put 1 damage on the Snapcaster Mage. Gonna get rid of another 2 damage there. But the Ephemerate is also gonna take care of the 1/1 counter, so now the Lightning Bolt that is coming I have to assume that it's coming off the Dreadhorde Arcanist here. Is going to make this a much closer game than our Elementals player is hoping for. What is he doing? Oh, he's playing a Seasoned Pyromancer. Now, he was Hellbent, so that is a straight up draw 2. A young Pyromancer. A old school all-star here. Making a bunch of elementals. The Omnath gonna get bolted, and that is 5 damage. Elementals player at 2, and that has to be a really good top deck. And it isn't, and we are going to game 2. Alright, our Elementals player on a mulligan to 6, Jerryt keeping his 7. As for sideboards, what can we expect here? Not too much on the elemental side. We might be seeing some endurance, try and get some of that Dreadhorde Arcanist value out of the way. I could definitely see that happening. Other than that, nothing really sticks out. Now, on the Arcanist side, I would expect maybe to see some removal being boarded in. I believe I saw a Plague Engineer in Jerryt's hand. So a Plague Engineer on Elementals could potentially be very effective. Other than that, yeah, just removal and Plague Engineer. At least I would assume. Not really the best deck to play. What's it called? Chalice of the Void? Neither of these decks are really Chalice of the Void decks. We have Flamekin Harbinger coming down here, gonna find Risen Reef, which I assume is gonna get played next turn. We have Basic Swamp for Jerryt and pass. Gonna keep open some interaction. I would assume to get rid of the Risen Reef here. Because realistically, that is the best chance for Elementals to come back here. Coming for 1. Is not going to play the Risen Reef yet. Most likely gonna try and play around any removal that Jerryt might have. So Jerryt decides I can answer it afterwards. We'll just drop the Plague Engineer now. We'll have to deal with that anyway. Which, actually, yeah, that's probably the best play anyway. I mean, if the Risen Reef was played, it would have died all the same. Would have gotten a card, I guess. Maybe was expecting the Plague Engineer? Oh, that is an artwork for the Plague Engineer. Good God. That is, whew. I don't know who made that image. But that is not flattering. I'm gonna shock in a Sacred Foundry, and I assume that's gonna mean Omnath. That is Omnath. That is for color Omnath. Gonna draw a card and say go. Now, it is a 3/3 right now. And the Plague Engineer has Death Touch. The question is, does Jerryt prefer the Plague Engineer or getting rid of the Omnath if the opportunity presents itself? We have Thought Scour, looks like Snapcaster Mage, Dreadhorde Arcanist. Not the best of mills, but it is possible Jerryt is playing Unearth. So, perhaps not the worst. Is that an Unearth? I think I see one there. I'm gonna Thoughtseize first. Ooh, bit of a lag spike, my apologies there. And there is a Chalice. Interesting. Was not expecting that. Another little lag spike. 1 second. Should be better now. Omnath gonna get bolted is of course in the range of bolt thanks to Plague Engineer. Looks like Rest in Peace was the take off the Thoughtseize for Jerryt here. Makes sense. Jerryt very much a graveyard oriented deck. Get Chalice of the Void on 1. So, gonna get rid of a lot of cards in Jerryt's deck. It's gonna make Dreadhorde Arcanist a lot worse. It's gonna get rid of a lot of removal spells.
Again.
Get a Forest coming out here for an Elementals player. Is going to add Kihira to his hand. Did actually reveal Kihira. Didn't see it game 1. But it's there. It's there. Most likely gonna come down here is gonna help kinda stem the bleed of the Plague Engineer here. And then combined with Chalice of the Void is maybe gonna help restabilize and try and get back in this game, because this Plague Engineer is doing a lot of work. 5 mana. We'll need a land to play both of the known cards here. It's gonna evoke a Mole Drifter. Gonna let it die, just draw the 2. Gonna find the land. And I would just play the Kihira here, honestly. You have the challenge on 1 to provide a bit of protection here. I think that is what is happening here. And find planes. I do think that casts the Risen Reef and the Kihira. I mean, it's gonna cast the Kihira here, right?
Rest in peace and Chalice.
Jerryt expressing his frustration at seeing both Chalice and Rest in Peace, 2 cards that are very good against him here. But Kolaghan's Command is going to make short work of anything our Elementals player here has to stem the bleed, and I think that is going to run out of control very fast. Just answer upon answer upon answer. I do think that was Unearth I just saw. Yeah, definitely Unearth in Jerryt's hand here. Nothing really to do with either of those creatures. No targets for Snapcaster Mage and no targets for Dreadhorde Arcanist. But that could change at a moment's notice. Wait, Actually, no, there might be targets. I forgot, didn't we resolve a Thought Scour? It's a bit off-screen, but I think we did. So maybe there is something we can do here. Most likely Jerryt is just waiting to see what our Elementals players is gonna do. And our Elementals player is just gonna play a second Chalice on 1. It's not bad, it's not bad. He's gonna need a little more than that, but it's a start, for sure. 3 mana... Not 3 mana... That's kind of the problem with playing more than 3 colors. You have to kinda look at what you're tapping for mana. Risen Reef is going to get played, will die to the Plague Engineer, but does get its enter the battlefield trigger to draw a card and try and find an answer for this Plague Engineer. Jerryt, realizing he's probably not going to cast the Unearth, decides to cycle it. Is probably happy at this point to just leave things the way they are. Especially if there's a second Plague Engineer on Elemental. I think that seals the deal. Maybe a Supreme Verdict can come out if that is a thing here. Some removal spells would be nice. Maybe the Omnath or like one of the Evoke Elementals. Vesperlark coming out here. That is... Whew, I need to look that one up. Vesperlark. When Vesperlark leaves the battlefield, return target creature card with power 1 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Interesting. Is going to die. Is going to die immediately, but is gonna be able to at least get another draw in. Gonna cycle another Unearth on Jerryt's side. Looks like the draw was a third Unearth. Man, Unearth would have been a fantastic card if you could actually cast it. And we're gonna swing in. And yeah, this is not happening anymore. There was definitely a good try there, but double Plague Engineer and then that Kolaghan's command on the Kira, that pretty much seals it. So 2-0 for Jerryt.